The unemployment rate dropping, is that also not the good news it sounds like?
No, I mean, it dropped because people left the labor force. Participation fell to 61.5%, which is the lowest since March of 2021. And household employment fell by, I think, around 500,000. So you can't just lower the unemployment rate by convincing people to stop looking.
Hi, everyone. I'm back with Joveo's own economist, David Garrett. Hey, David.
Hey, happy to be here and hopefully to unruin some good news for once.
Well, listen, June came in at 57,000 new jobs created in the United States. The unemployment ticked down to 4.2%. That's the lowest in a year. So are we finally out of the woods?
I mean, it depends on which woods you're talking about. 57,000 is less than half of what most economists expected. And May and April both got revised down by a combination of like 74,000, which is mostly from May. So that strength we kind of discussed last month and everyone celebrated really didn't hold up.
That's not good news at all. And the unemployment rate dropping, is that also not the good news it sounds like?
No, I mean, it dropped because people left the labor force. Participation fell to 61.5%, which is the lowest since March of 2021. And household employment fell by, I think, around 500,000. So, you can't just lower the unemployment rate by convincing people to stop looking.
And then, it's obviously World Cup fever. That's why I've got bags under my eyes living in London, around to watch all these matches in Seattle. But Goldman Sachs had said that the World Cup was going to give us a 40,000 person job boost, at least for hospitality, through the World Cup. Did that happen?
I mean, not really. Although we had discussed that initial bump last month and it was reported, leisure and hospitality lost 61,000 in June. So the industry is just flatlined all year.
So where did all the jobs come from, this 57,000 new jobs created?
Healthcare and education. Most of it is, as usual, has been carrying the report. And then professional business services also added a decent chunk, but it was mostly temp help, which is mostly just the markets testing the waters and not being committal.
Okay, so if it's the same sectors as before, who's been losing jobs? Which sectors are losing jobs?
Yeah, I mean, retail, information, and mining were all the big ones I noted in the report. They were all smaller numbers, but it's really just another month where nobody's growing except those usual suspects.
But David, at least in the news, we're still not seeing, a huge number of companies doing mass layoffs. Isn't that a positive, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, as David Byrne said, it's the same as it ever was. Low hire, low fire, which we've been talking about for the last few months. And, those that do lose their jobs, long-term unemployment is close to 2 million. I think it's at 1.9, up 286,000 over the year, which means a quarter of all unemployed people have just kind of been stuck.
Yeah. And at the same time, though, I do see that people with college degrees in the US are still doing all right. I think unemployment for college grads is still steady at around 2.7%.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got specialized skills, you're watching the whole report from a much better seat. But for everybody else, it's kind of not the best.
And I'll also point out, if you are in your early 20s or you're a teenager, or you have someone who's a teenager in your family, recent grads are facing a completely different reality. I think joblessness for the 22 to 27-year-olds is almost 6%. That's a whole other story I think we should talk about in another episode. But David, what's the move for recruiters, for the TA leaders that are listening to us today?
Yeah, I mean, it's stop blasting out recs and just kind of hoping. The hiring that's happening is narrow industries of healthcare, education, business services, and those very skilled roles. So, with the participation rate dropping, part of your candidate pool is just checked out. So you really do need to go where the demand is and actively re-engage people instead of just waiting for them to apply.
So targeted, not passive, which is exactly what we help people do. So that's great. David, thank you very much.
Yeah, anytime.
And thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you next month, and be sure to visit us at joveo.com.